Now I'd like to invite Professor David Sandalow, Inaugural Fellow from the University, and Dr. Issam Dairanieh, CEO, CO216, your presentation for ICEF roadmap of CO2 utilization. Professor Sandalow and Dr. Dairanieh, you have it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. And thank you, Watanabe-san and Tsubasa-san for being here today and for your comments. And thank you to Mehdi and to Nito for the support of this process. It was good to see my friend Issam, former member of the ICEF steering committee as well. I'm just going to speak about a part of the ICEF process, which is the ICEF Innovation Roadmap project. And this process has two goals. The first is to use the ICEF platform to help promote the development and deployment of clean energy technologies. And the second is to promote global awareness of the ICEF conference. The Innovation Roadmap project, which is part of ICEF, started in 2015. And in 2015, prepared a roadmap for solar and storage technologies. And that roadmap can be found on the ICEF website. It's an important contribution to the literature on solar and storage technologies. So this year, there have been a series of activities under the ICEF Innovation Roadmap project. First, in April of 2016, Menti organized a workshop in New York on technology roadmapping. It invited the IEA, and Senior guy is going to speak as part of this event, which we're grateful for. But we invited specialists from all around the world to talk about technology roadmapping and how ICEF could make its best contribution in this area. And then ICEF proceeded with two roadmaps, which we're going to talk about today. The carbon dioxide utilization roadmap and the zero energy buildings roadmap. And I'm going to focus first on the carbon dioxide utilization roadmap. And say a quick word about the timeline for the development of this roadmap. It's actually a very fast timeline for the development of the roadmap. It started in May when we launched project consultations. In June, we engaged carbon dioxide CO2 scientists, and we're about to hear from Dr. Issam Dairanieh, the CEO of CO2 Sciences. We've been extremely fortunate to have his expertise, his extraordinary expertise, working on this issue. And I want to recognize also Dr. Bernard David, who's in the back of the room, but has played an extremely significant role in the development of this, and his work on this project, on this topic, is extremely important. So thank you, Bernard David, for your work on this. In July, we held a workshop at Columbia University to talk about this topic, and gathered experts from around the country, in fact, around the world, to talk about this topic of CO2 utilization. In August and September, our team has been researching and drafting and working hard. In October, we released a draft at the ICEF conference and had commentary on this from a number of experts. And then today, we are releasing the final version. And so let me turn the podium over now to Dr. Dairanieh, who's, as I said, a leading expert. We're very fortunate to have him take the lead on this document.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David, and thank you everyone for making it here this afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to basically share with you a piece of work that we have worked collaboratively with ICEF and David and his team. And this is really one of the key takeaway messages that I want to leave with you today. One about collaboration and the importance of doing that given the size of the issue that we're dealing with. So that's one. The second message that I really want to leave with you is the importance of converting CO2 into useful product and the commercial as well as the environmental opportunity that this thing brings. And number three is that the time to act is now, because there are truly technologies that can be commercializable in the short term, and you'll see that hopefully from our roadmap what is a reasonable timeline for rolling out some of these technologies. So what I would like to start with is that basically here we're talking about a problem that is one of the greatest problems that we face in our lives. And in order to do that, we have to have a multifaceted approach. And one important one that I will mention in detail is the carbon capture and utilization. In order to assess this, we went through 3 steps. The first one is to assess what is the technology landscape looks like. And on that, we have created a database that has information about 180 different technologies globally that exist, talking about converting CO2 into useful products. Then basically we went to another step to categorize these, as I will show you in a minute, and put them in different categories in terms of products and markets. And then we use some selection criteria to narrow down our selection from the 6 down to a smaller number of markets that we think have the best option and potential for basically creating the impact that we'd like to see from this technology. And we have looked at the way that we are rolling out these technologies in the market. One, with a business as usual scenario. That is, if we keep things as they are, what kind of potential would these technologies generate? That's one. The second one is, what if we actually become proactive and take some actions along the dimensions of policy, technology, and markets, and then decide what would that look like. And the 2 take-home messages for you here that are shown in blue is that this is a massive opportunity that should be activated as soon as possible. We're talking about the ability of CO2 utilization to convert 15% of CO2 into useful products, and at the same time, by just looking at 5 of these products, we can see a market opportunity in excess of $800 billion a year by 2030. And when I talk about our need to act rather than leave this as business as usual, we talk about the 3 dimensions that are extremely important. And the first one has to do with technology. So as you see, some of these technologies at an early stage, and therefore they need a lot of funding and support. And we believe this is one piece of the puzzle that needs to be in place to make this a goal. And the second one that people do not talk much about is the need not only to develop technologies for CO2, but actually to develop technologies for hydrogen generation. And the reason I really mention this now in great detail, because Japan has been a leading center of actually creating water splitting and hydrogen generation technologies. And we think this is quite an important area for Japan to take forward and continue its leadership that it has assumed in the past few years. On the market side, we think that in order to develop these at scale, we need to develop the value chain, and this is mostly around creating the pipeline that will connect sources of emission with where the manufacturing is going to be taking place. This is not to say that we are not going to do anything until this pipeline exists, but this is to say that it can be greatly accelerated if we actually have a pipeline. Otherwise, we think that there are co-location options that will still enable us to move forward with this technology. The last one has to do with policy. And this one really is about the governments stepping in to fund fundamental research. And this is, many of these technologies at a very early stage, and we need a lot of support. But there is a lot of activities that we should talk about, and David's going to talk about it in a few minutes. But I just will share with you that it is the typical approach of a carrot and a stick. Basically a carrot, an incentive about using products that have low carbon footprint, and a stick, which is in terms of a carbon tax or in terms of penalty, unless your portfolio is one that has a significant reduction in in basically significant reduction in emissions. The result of the work that has taken place over the past several months is depicted in the next two plots. And what I would like you to see here is the following. First, we're focusing only out of 5 out of a potential 25 products that we can make. So bear in mind, this is only a fraction of the story. This is not the whole story. Number 2 is we looked at the emissions that can be absorbed in 2 scenarios. What you see there in light green is basically the business opportunity that you will see if we do not act. If we leave the market conditions as they are, if we do not increase R&D funding, if we don't have incentives, then the growth of these different markets is as shown. And you will see actually there is an incredible role for different policy or technology or market levers that you can use to accelerate the adoption and creating of this marketplace. And you see that it's not all technologies are treated the same. Some of them are ready today, and you will see, for example, in the case of concrete, that even without too much intervention, you can still have a decent contribution and decent market business opportunity. But again, when it comes to other technologies, basically, the intervention is important to accelerate the deployment. If you add up these numbers, you see that this is a market opportunity in excess of $800 billion a year. And you see what is a timeline looks like between 2020 and 2030. But the other piece of the coin that we should be talking about is about basically our ability to absorb CO2 into these products. And again, you will see whether it is in the aggregate space, the fuel space, concrete, methanol, or polymers, we're talking about markets that can have significant basically uptake of this. If you add up these components together, you'll get close to 7 gigatons. So given where we are today in our emission, this is in excess of 15%. And so the big message here is really that this is a big part of the answer. We're not talking about the silver bullet. We're talking about really multiple solutions, and we think this is one of the major solutions that has to be in place. And so I just wanted to summarize for you basically the main results of our analysis and study. But the way that we got there is really first by looking at where we are today and the fact that we are not really using CO2 at all in our cycle. So we're emitting 35 gigatons and we're using less than 200 million tons basically of CO2. 3/4 of that is to urea. So there's very little that's being done today about utilization, and we think that there's a lot more that can be done. And also in terms of addressing this challenge, there are a lot of things that are being done today, whether it is on adaptation or on basically use of renewables, or in looking at even carbon sequestration. But we think the one that has not received as much attention is the utilization that we are focusing on within our company. And the reason this is really important is, as probably you have seen now this multiple times during the past 2 days in different presentations, is going with basically anything but a negative carbon emission is not going to get us to 2 degrees. If we continue doing what we're doing, we are on route to be on 4 to 6 degrees. If we are really good at it, we may drop to 4. But if we are going to get to 2, let alone 1.5, then we have to use carbon negative technologies. So these are technologies that absorb CO2. So of course you have trees in nature that does that for you. The unfortunate thing is that trees do not do it fast enough. And we need to use all kind of means available to us, natural and artificial, and think about each one of these plants that we want to create as really artificial trees that are absorbing huge amount of CO2. Our study took three forms and three steps, starting with a technology look, basically understanding how can we create products, then basically creating a database, evaluating this in terms of readiness, evaluating this in terms of innovation ability, and then taking that to different markets, estimating the market size, extrapolating and matching that market size with the amount of CO2 that it will absorb, and ending up with the roadmap that I shared with you. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go into the details of the technology pathways. I just want to mention that there are multiple ways of doing that. The one that I want you to remember is mineralization. And the reason I want you to remember this because this is the technology that is ready for adoption today. All other technologies from catalytic conversion, fermentation, photocatalytic or electrocatalytic, all of these things are important, but they are really important to be funded because they are still at an early stage of development. And what we have created is these maps that basically look at all these technologies in terms of the pathways and where are they in their development process. And some of them are really late, but most of them are really at a very early stage, emphasizing the need for support of fundamental research. Then not only we looked at this in terms of what are the pathways, but what are the market segments that they are basically serving, and put these categories into the chemical intermediates, fuels, building materials, algae, polymer, and other materials. In our discussion today, we're going to skip two things, algae and other materials. And the reason for this is that they are not yet ready for prime time deployment. They need a lot of hand-holding before they get there. And the other is also an important one that we in the CO2 sciences are very interested in, and that has to do with conversion of CO2 into carbon in different forms. And that form can be graphene, it can be carbon fiber or nanotubes. We think that doing so will help in a very significant way enable these carbon molecules to replace materials like steel. And as you know, steel by itself, the steel technology they contribute 6.7% to the world emission of CO2. So if you can have that, start that replacement journey, then you can do some significant reduction in carbon emission. So if you have all of these pathways, and if you have hundreds of companies, how do you start basically now prioritizing? And the way that we do that is we say, let's look at the stage of development, how big is this market size, and then look at the number of developers. Is there enough firepower behind the development? Are these companies that are well funded, or are they not? What needs to happen? And then, of course, the important thing is, even if they're successful, are they going to matter? And so the last one that we basically evaluate is the potential for CO2 mitigation. And as you see, we rank this between high, medium, and low. And that's why novel materials and algae did not make the cut for this study, but we think they're still worth basically funding and supporting. Our analysis then basically started with what is the market size for each one of these segments today, what is the growth rate in each one of this, estimate based on assumptions that we make about increase in population, increase in applications, and so on, extrapolate to 2025 and then 2030, and basically make an assumption about the penetration of CO2 within that market size. And we were very, very conservative, I should say, and finally just estimate, pull this up in one estimate of this. So rather than showing you every single detail about the study that will be available both on the website ICEF within a week or so, as well as our website. You'll be able to see the detailed results. I just want to share with you only one market segment, and that market segment is concrete. And basically, we look at different scenarios. So a scenario that basically extrapolating what we know today. Another scenario that says, no, actually, we need to encourage that market segment. And 3, we need to pull all the energy that we have behind that market segment. So if you do that, you see the significant amount that one market segment, like concrete, can absorb. And the reason I chose this one is, as I mentioned, not only because of the potential to absorb CO2, but because it's a live case. It's a case where you can bring to the market in the next couple of years. So if we now integrate what we learned about the technology with what we learned about the markets and put it all together, basically, and say what needs to happen to move in a fast way towards a solution, we'll see that the barriers can be categorized in one of 3 dimensions. One that has to do with the technology that I mentioned towards the beginning, another one that has to do with market development, and the third one that has to do with policy incentives as well as compliance of the policies. And the one takeaway I would like you to get from this plot, from this slide, is not all technologies are equal. Not all market segments need the same kind of things. And just as an example, basically, if you are producing CO2, making fuels out of it, then I can tell you, you absolutely need policy. Policy is extremely important. Just like what it did for biofuels, it should do for low carbon fuels. However, if you're focusing on building materials, you'll see that policy is not as important. If you're looking, and again, this is an area that Japan is pretty strong in, polymers. If you're looking at making polymers out of CO2, then basically policy is not as important. And part of the reason is that you can afford a very expensive CO2 material and still make money by selling your product competitively in the marketplace. So our recommendation is really about our ability to reduce the cost of these solutions. This comes from our investment in technology. This comes from ensuring that we have a strong pipeline of future technologies. We have to also make it easy for people to transfer CO2 from one place into another. So this is about really enabling and the role that both investors and governments will play in creating an infrastructure for a steady supply of CO2, and then basically the ability to scale up this will have to come from a collaborative approach that brings together corporations, investors, as well as the governments to bring this up to the next level. David?
Well, thank you, Issam. And I'm just going to close by highlighting one of the centrally important recommendations that we come up with in this report. And it's the importance of life cycle analysis when thinking about carbon dioxide utilization. And it is, in thinking about this issue of carbon dioxide utilization, it is important to focus on the fact that a kilogram of carbon dioxide in a product does not necessarily give the atmosphere a kilogram of benefit. For example, if you generate a kilogram of emissions in making that product, it's neutral for the atmosphere. So in order to really evaluate the benefit to the atmosphere and the global warming benefit of CO2 utilization, it is absolutely essential to perform a life cycle analysis. And for example, you see it's important to look at how much is energy and emissions are generated in the carbon dioxide capture process, the energy input, other feedstocks, and then how much might be released into the atmosphere if and when the product is degraded. Another very important point is what you're comparing it to. If you use carbon dioxide to make a product, and by doing that, you displace a product that generated lots and lots of emissions, then you're doing a lot of good for the atmosphere. So we looked at this issue, and one conclusion that emerged is that there is right now not a standard methodology for evaluating the life cycle emissions of carbon dioxide in the utilization process, and a lot of work needs to go into this, and we think that's important in the years ahead. The report contains a catalog of different policy options that governments can use in supporting carbon dioxide utilization. There are many different national circumstances and governments around the world. Different policies will be important in different places. But among the ones that are important, as Issam has already discussed, are government funding of R&D, carbon pricing, taxes and other incentives, mandates, government procurement can play an important role, and then government support for testing, certification, and life cycle analysis is also important. Let me just close by thanking Dr. Dairanieh for his expertise, his extraordinary scientific and technical expertise here, thanking Betty and Nito for their support of this work. Thank you very much.